Hello, welcome to Briarwood Holdings, where bulk is your number one priority. Today we're going to talk about how to check the value of Pokemon TCG cards. Ensure that you're getting what your cards are worth. The Pokemon TCG has been growing in popularity. Yeah, no kidding. And that means the cards hiding in your shoebox, in your closet, may be worth combing through. As the game continues to get attention from players and collectors alike, many cards rise in value, whether they're particularly rare, feature beloved Pokemon and their trainers, or highlight gorgeous art treatments. They're all stickers. It's all stickers. Many cards are worth their weight in gold. But how do you check this value? TCG player Pokemon market price. It may come as an absolute no surprise to you at the first place I recommend is in fact TCG. To check the value of your cards, is your very own TCG Player Marketplace. TCG Player gives you a wide range of search options, including ways to list based on their popularity, their current market value, or just alphabetically. More importantly, however, you can search card by card and get a peek at some of the key metrics. Most cards have multiple listings, letting you get a great idea of the value range of the card, including the card's condition, which could be relevant for your more heavily played childhood cards, and a helpful graph that tracks the price history in the marketplace. That graph may tell you if your card has recently spiked in value, telling you if it's time to sell. Easy player is alright, but you also got to think about the fees. There's a whole bunch of fees. Comparative markets. While the TCG player market is essentially the unquestioned authority when it comes to determining value, there is a reason that people famously conduct person in person trades, primarily based on TCG player median price. It isn't the only option. A cursory outlook online will point you to a few other spots in the market tracking websites, such as eBay. eBay's alright. Maybe the first site that springs to mind. There you can find listings for particularly rare cards, including professionally graded, often called slabs. Relatedly, you should keep in mind the difference in value between graded and raw, ungraded cards. Professionally graded cards are placed in protective slabs that are clearly labeled with card quality, with these game pieces valued higher based on that score. Several other websites aim to track market trends, with price charting being one of them that I will personally look at if I'm hunting for a second opinion after TCG Player. Comparative prices are genuinely a Google search away, but the market is surprisingly stable, so you'll find likely very little variation between the two different trackers. Special conditions. These resources are more than enough to help you determine the value of your cards, but I would be remiss if I didn't note at least a few special things you may need to consider when looking for your over collection. Some cards may be worth more than they are, some maybe not, and the market tracking can only do so much to help you there. First edition. With the original base set in particular, you may notice the first edition tag to the lower corner of the art box. For some cards, this can substantially boost its value, and you should consider individually looking up the prices for these. Look at this Machamp. First edition right in the corner. $65 for this card. First edition. It's a common too, right? It's gotta be a common. But I digress. Shadowless. If it's a shadowless, base set cards printed immediately after the first print run don't have the first edition symbol, but they also have something else in common with the first edition. They don't have a drop shadow behind their art box. Because so few of these were printed, they're also worth notably more than base set cards printed in later runs, which do feature a drop shadow. If it's a promo, many Pokemon cards are special promos from assorted events, though these are clearly labeled with special tags, while some, like Ancient Mew, were printed and distributed into the ground. Others are much more rare, and it's worth double checking their value. This is $126 card. I didn't know that. Hollow Swirl. For several sets, the foiling process including a unique swirl that adds a lovely flourish to the art of the card. While it doesn't always add value to the card, the extra curiosity may make the better collector's piece, especially if it's a rare double swirl effect. That's it. Now let's look and see what this does. Swirl, swirl, Squirtle. What's a hollow swirl in the Pokemon TCG? A sparkly signature that makes cards unique. Starting with Pokemon Base Set 2, all the way up to Diamond and Pearl, the Pokemon TCG used a foil style called Cosmos, hollow foiling. This stellar, now somewhat nostalgic style featured glittering stars across the card that made them look, as the name implies, beautifully cosmic. Dark Trio. Swirl. However, some collectors of the time, and increasingly more today, notice something of a rarity in those foils and swirls. These uncommon spiraling star patterns give extra vibrancy to the art of several such foils. Huh. First edition. Swirling stars. The foil sheet of the Cosmo Hile styles was quite large, featuring many brilliant star patterns among its glimmering material. Spread out on that sheet were several sections that contained lovely little swirling, circular patterns of stars. Seal. Hmm. However, these sections were small and didn't always add a section of the card that would be highlighted in this. Thus, only certain cards end up with these swirls highlighted in the art itself. Some collectors just love to see a little extra flourish in their foils. Value in aesthetics. While the addition of the hollow swirl can be appealing to certain collectors, these bits of flair don't necessarily add the value of the card itself. Some individuals will go out of their way to hunt down these minute visual details, but they are small enough and still just common enough to mean they are not necessarily collector's items in and of themselves. Similarly, the addition of the hollow swirl in the art change how the card is graded. See, I like hollows and reverse hollows. This is getting too much. That said, with the continued boom in Pokemon TCG collectability, I would not be surprised to see these kinds of smaller details become increasingly important. So I would strongly consider combing through your collection to see if the foil Charizard has some extra spiral value. Yeah, good luck with that. Double Rainbow. With that said, there's another variant of this that has gotten some speculative buzz because of even further increased rarity. Double swirls. As noted, the foiling sheet of these was broad and designed to be random. Make sure that every foil was at least slightly unique alongside any given counterpart. On rare occasions, multiple swirls could overlap, possibly due to the printing error, causing double swirls to appear on the art. Due to the rarity of this effect, double swirls could be worth substantially more and are worth keeping an eye out for. Yes, apparently so. I'll stick with my rares and my hollows and reverse hollows. Remember, Mayhem starts May 29th. Subscribe, check out the links. I will see you in the next one.